Some technical difficulties. The Geek Squad got it straight. Glad you're back with us. I don't know what you missed. I heard there was no audio at all.
Sound,
audio. It's the same thing. It's amazing.
Your saving grace.
Yeah. So anyway, we're back. We're back with it now. We'll probably just have to revert to the end of the show what we were talking about earlier. Talking about a great time at Charlotte Motor Speedway this past weekend. Took a pace car ride with Cale Conley. More on that in a little bit. We'll show you that. It was an interesting trip all the way around. Wake up, Geek Squad.
Yeah. Thanks to Target and Kyle Larson for my glasses. They were giving away at the media center, and I just wear them because they aggravate Jack.
And of course, Scott mentioned we want to thank Lenny and everybody at Charlotte Motor Speedway for having us out there this past weekend. It was a great time for us. Got to talk with a lot of people. Even got to sit and eat with the legend, Al Pierce. Got to sit down and eat at the table with Al Pierce, even though he made us go sit in the back of the room.
So nobody else could see.
So nobody would see us, but we were. It was a pretty good trip. So, what are we working on here now? We've lost the sound. No, we don't.
No, we got sound. I was just loading the pictures back up.
All right, let's talk about before Macy calls in here. I know Macy's going to call in here in just a couple minutes. Talk about the racing this weekend down at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, first of all, let's talk about Langley. What happened out at Langley this weekend?
Well, we had some good racing. You know, Sean clinched his championship. Jesse clinched his. The karts got exciting. You know, I had to definitely step in between a couple of drivers at the end of the kart race.
No.
And, oh yeah.
Drivers?
Yeah. A couple
Owners?
of drivers. Well, some karting officials and definitely some kart drivers. Yeah.
Now there was a wild rumor going on that a cart got dumped over in the thing there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call names. I'm just saying.
I won't say any names either. But yeah, it got dumped over. One cart came out of the turn 2 full speed and definitely went flying into the pits and ran into another car. And of course, they definitely exchanged words once they got out of the cars.
So it was an interesting night all the way around.
Yeah, very interesting night. Some great racing though. We did have some great racing. Karts, they had a great race.
That's cool. That's really good because we had some great racing too. I understand Martinsville had a real good race.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lemons Jr. won the race. Timothy Peters had a little excursion there at the end of the race. Tore up his car pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good's an understatement. But I mean, that was just hard racing. It didn't look like anybody did anything purposely. He was going for the win. Still ended up what, 4th or 5th?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
But yeah, we had a great time at Charlotte. I mean, we had fun with our pace car ride. That was a lot of fun. I mean, we laughed about that and joked about it most of the rest of the day on Friday. A couple people we told, we took a ride with Cale Conley. They were like, "Are you crazy?" They were like, you know how much he wrecks, and it was so funny because then he ends up getting loose and going through the grass and qualifying. And our old buddy, give a shout out to Eddie Perdue from Langley Speedway. Talking about Langley Speedway, he's a crew chief on Cale Conley's car. Shout out to our hometown heroes coming from Langley Speedway. He was Chip Hudson's crew chief for a long time. But it was fun.
And of course, when you see it, the thing about it is, Scott made a big deal about me making the comment about the wall.
It was a big deal.
But he hit the wall in his race car. So, hey, it was a big deal to me because I was sitting there.
You know how his voice was like right here? When he said wall, it was like, the wall is coming out.
Yeah.
It was like, it was
scared
moving.
him.
No, it didn't scare me.
The girl in the back didn't even make a sound.
Really? But he did.
I did.
It's the first time you've been that close to the wall, right? Huh?
From the inside.
From the inside.
Before we get to this little conversation, Joe, I'm just going to remind you The payback is coming. Okay.
That's all I've heard since
I know, man.
on the way home. That's all I heard.
How many times is my name on that list? You know.
Right now, you occupy about the first 14.
But we got some funny jokes to talk about. Probably after the end of the show, we got time to talk about.
Yeah. We're going to have to talk about it at the end of the show. After we turn the thing off, because if anything comes up while it's on, I'm going. Before Macy calls in here, also we want to take a look at the picks last week. not gonna do any bragging, but I won, and I think that is my, if I'm not mistaken, that's my 4th win.
Oh, 4-time. We'll call him 4-time.
Win.
All right, now join us will be Macy Causey. Hello, Macy. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, we started out kind of rough, but we're here now. It's not been a good beginning here. But first of all, we want to congratulate you for making the Drive for Diversity combine over here at Langley. What do you think about that? I know that's a big deal for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm just glad I have the opportunity, and going to do my best and hopefully see what happens.
When did you find out?
It was about 2 weeks ago, and my dad came in and told me, and it was all me, my mom, my dad, my family, and we were all excited. And yeah, it was about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Now, did they call, or did you get an email, or how does that work?
I'm pretty sure it was email got sent to my dad.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be, I can't imagine, I would love to have been in there to hear y'all had to have been screaming and hollering, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, we were definitely screaming and hollering, very, very much so.
Now you're going over. You're at your home track doing the combine. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then also, I have been talking with some people. You were the youngest one invited, and there's a lot of hope that you can do really well there, and or get yourself set up for the future to where you can maybe have a ride over there.
Right.
So I hope you do very well, because I'm going to be out there with you. I want to see you do well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so don't embarrass Jack.
And I'd also like to announce that when I got home from school today, I checked the mail and saw an invitation from NASCAR that I got invited to the NASCAR awards banquet in Charlotte, and I got rookie of the year for Virginia, state of Virginia. So
congratulations! That's a big deal. That's really a big deal. And congratulations to you. So you have had a big couple weeks here.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm really excited, and see how I've never been to one a NASCAR banquet, and excited to go and see how everything plays out.
Well, I hope everything is great for you, Dad. I hope you have a blast, because you deserve it. Now,
thank you.
Let's talk about Martinsville. Do you want to talk about Martinsville?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, tell us about your experience over at Martinsville.
Martinsville, it was fun. It was definitely tough, and had some big competition like at Langley, and didn't make the race, but avoided a really, really close wreck that ended up to be like 10 cars. And in the last chance race, there was about 38 cars, and ended up finishing 12th, so only 2 spots away from making the race. So that was a little disappointing. But to be that close was just put me in a better mood, and didn't let it get to me very much. But was definitely disappointed and upset, but it also excited and learned a lot, and learned a lot about how everything goes within the NASCAR, and hopefully we'll make it back up there next year.
Well, that was your first time to Martinsville, correct? I mean, that's the first time you drove Martinsville.
Yes, sir.
But you know what the good thing about it is, and you finished 12th in the last chance race. You were only a couple spots out for the first time you've been there.
I mean, that's pretty good.
But think about all the people that were there that didn't make the race. That's been there not hundreds of times, but been there plenty of times. Didn't make the race, and you did a great job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And you don't even say you're proud of me.
I'm not proud of you. Go ahead, talk.
So how do you balance school and work now, or school and racing now that school's kind of started?
For school, we have approval from the principal for the amount of days that I can miss, and I attend York High School, so not going to be homeschooled, and I just get my work and be sure to keep my grades up, like my mom and dad always told me. D's and F's are not good, and if I even get one or even a C, racing's definitely going to have to be pushed back, and so keeping my grades up is really hard, especially being a freshman and trying to get all my hard classes over with. But missing so much school, like next week I'm going to be missing 3 days for the Drive for Diversity Combine, and I'm just going to make sure I always get all my work done and complete it and turn it in earlier rather than after I get back.
Well, good for you. I mean, for you to do that well in school, I didn't do that well in school, and education is super important, and I know you probably don't think it's more important than driving right now, but it in the end it is. You got to have a good education.
Right.
So what kind of things have you been working on to prepare for the combine?
I know that there's going to be a lot of athletic ability, and they're definitely going to be paying attention to that because driving a race car isn't as easy as people brag on me about and say that it is. So I've definitely been preparing, working out as much as I can. Like in school, we have the weight room, and we're allowed to use it as much as we want throughout the day and through the gym period. So I try to get there as much, and just mentally stuff, looking online to see how the combine has worked and how what goes on at the combine and at the hotel, and see how everything works to have an idea of what's going to happen. It's pretty much how I prepared for it.
Now, have you talked to anybody to know what to expect, like exactly what goes on?
No, I haven't.
Well, listen to the show after you get off, because we've got Jefferson Hodges coming on, and he's with Rev Racing, and he's a part of the combine, and I'm going to ask him those questions. So you listen to him and pay attention to what he says, so you'll be ready for it.
I will.
So how much confidence do you have going into the combine, being they're going to come to Langley Speedway where you have a lot of laps this year?
I know Langley isn't an easy track, but since I have a little bit of experience, there's a lot more talented people out there that are going to be attending it. So having the track being my home track makes it, a little bit more easier, and doesn't really boost my confidence up because I know that there's going to be some tough competition, and I'm going to have to do my best and see what happens. But going at anything, I definitely have confidence in myself and what I can do and my ability. And that definitely pays off in the end, as I hope it does.
Now, what is your schedule for the rest of the year? Are you going to be doing any more racing, or are y'all done for the right now, and where you can go back to the schoolwork, or what's the plan?
For the rest of the season, we might be attending Myrtle Beach. My dad just talked to me about that earlier, and he said it's all up to me, and I'm definitely gonna think about it and look online because never been there. So I'm gonna see how everything happens, and I'm definitely focusing on school. But one more race didn't hurt anything, so we might be going there, but it all depends.
Now, what will change for next year if you do get the ride for Drive for Diversity?
If I do, well, if I don't, I'm definitely going to be running full time at Langley. But if I get in, definitely going to be doing a lot more traveling, and so excited because I haven't really been to many tracks in the late model stock car. But definitely want to travel with Rev Racing, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be, not that I believe you're up for the challenge, and I would have to say, and maybe I'm just biased, I think you're a favorite for the combine, but I think with school and traveling, that's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah, we really think that you've got a good chance to really show yourself there and show some promise. And even if it doesn't work out this year, keep trying, because it's going to work out for you, because you have. Over the year, you have progressed completely. You have made 180-degree turn, and you're doing really good. So don't get down.
Thank you.
If you don't make it, don't get down on yourself, and go try it again. That's all you can do. And just think, you were very successful this year at Langley, so it's, that's a feather in your cap.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, she used to out-qualify me in the arena car, and she had a restrictor plate on her car.
Macy, don't. I understand you you probably outraced him every time too, but we're not even going to go there. But he's not something I would base my
I beat Scott Ellis.
Yeah, that's not something to brag about.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go down to Charlotte for the banquet. I know that's going to be a big deal. You might go out to Myrtle Beach. You've been at Martinsville. You have had it going on the last little bit, and I'm really excited for you. Tell your dad and your mom we're really behind you, and I'll be at Langley for the combine, and I'll get in touch with you there, and we'll see how things go.
Okay, thank you.
And look, thank you sponsors and everybody you got while you have an opportunity.
I think US 161, CGX Modular Homes, OVM Financial, and definitely all of my crew people in Healy, all of my best paid crew, and my mom's friends and family, Diane and Michelle, and my Uncle Bubba, my Nana, my Pop, and just everybody that comes over and helps out 24/7 on the car, and comes out to, all the way out to Martinsville like this past weekend, and everyone that came out to support me.
Well, we'll be talking to you again. We're going to get you back in here after the combine, and we're going to talk to you and get your experience there. And good luck to you. Tell your dad we really appreciate him helping get you on the show this time. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Yeah, it was a really big congratulations to her.
Well, yeah,
it's a big deal. And I keep thinking she's a little older than she is because, I've seen her so much kind of progressing. I'm thinking she's got to be 15 or 16.
Yeah, 14.
14. I mean, it's just congratulations to her and
Rookie
good
of the
luck.
year for the state. Man, that's got to be an unbelievable thing. At 14 years old in a late model stock car, I am impressed. I mean, she's gone through some growing pains getting there, but she deserves it. You're going to go through those, and she deserves what she gets out of it.
And I'll say she's very professional. I won't say. After the last race, I was over there taking some pictures, and they had a Rookie of the Year banner made up. Well, 99%, probably 90% of the drivers, when they went over there and put the banner up behind the car, and they wanted to take a group photo, I wanted to take a picture so we could post it on our site. She made sure she zipped her suit up, and most people don't do that, because she's got the sponsors. If you look at the page there, she's got her 100.6 radio station, which is not affiliated with all the rest of the radio stations at Langley Speedway. But she zipped her suit up and made sure she had it like it's supposed to be and was presentable. That adds a lot of value to somebody that wants to go forward.
But just look at the potential
Oh,
that could be that's there. 14 years old. I mean, we're just now getting to that point, and it's going to be, I think, a big deal down the road. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be.
I think she's got a really good shot. Being it's going to be at Langley, I think she represents.
Pick out of that?
I think there's 22.
20 some. I can't remember the number. We'll ask Jefferson when he comes on. But that's a big. I mean, and some of the names that's in there are some names that you've heard of running late models all across the country. But none of them.
Guys,
but yeah. Well, there's maybe one.
Is there?
Maybe one this year. But they but then they all have to come here to run on a track that she runs on a regular basis.
Right.
And
she's going to have an advantage.
She's going to have a little bit of an advantage.
It's got to give her some confidence,
But think of the promotion aspect of it too. 14 years old, driving a late model in a combine.
Sponsors, I mean, everybody is going.
And she can go into that combine, Rookie of the Year, at the track, at the racetrack, plus Rookie of the Year for the state.
Yeah.
And
I mean, then you just add the great story of her grandmother running.
And I wanted
the
to ask
Busch
her about that
Series.
too, and I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
I wanted to
but,
ask her about
I mean,
Her grandmother what?
ran in the Busch Series.
Okay.
It ran at Martinsville Speedway. That was a big thing for them too. To both had raced. I mean, that's just an added little great story extension of her.
And I got to say, you know, and I know her dad by meeting him at the racetrack and all that, but I don't really know him personally. I don't know her mom. I don't know her mother at all. But you got to think that the parents have done an outstanding job with promoting her to the point. I mean, she's done well. I mean, you know, and she
puts the work in.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's kind of like the other person we've had on this show before that didn't make the combine this time. But you know, it's good that we got one from Langley there that's going to be a part of it.
Right.
But I believe that she'll make it next year.
I do too. There's no doubt in my mind. And I hope that Macy gets. I hope Macy gets a ride with Rev. I mean, really,
It'd be a great story for Rev Racing. I mean, I think the whole thing will be a great story. And maybe we're just saying that because we're biased, because we see her every weekend and we like her. But she does do a really good job. Yeah. And you don't make Rookie of the Year and Rookie of the State for
doing nothing. I mean, it's not just handed to you.
Right.
And you got to think of how many tracks there are in Virginia that you're running against. And I didn't even know they did a Rookie of the Year for the whole state. I mean, I did not know that. I knew they did the state championship for a driver, and they
Call
did.
from 7.
All right. Well, here's Jefferson Hodges.
4 5 0 6 6 1 2 7.
Good evening, Mr. Hodges. How you doing?
Hey, good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good, and getting ready for that combine.
Oh, absolutely.
Now I got some questions. And if you can't answer them, that's cool too. I mean, there's some I may get a little farther down than what you want to say. But what is the criteria that you guys go by and to pick the people that you got coming to the combine?
Well, I mean, there's a very specific criteria that's outlined in the application process that they have to go by. A lot of it's age related, obviously experience related. You know, obviously the most important one is the diverse background. And really, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of exceptions in any of the categories. You know, you have to be of a diverse background. Depending on whether you're applying for the youth racing or the big cars, you know, the age bracket is very specific. And then, you know, it becomes a competition at that point. You know, we had 85 people apply, and their experience level ranged all the way from, you know, the guy that might ride a yard cart in his backyard and wants to be a racer, all the way up to, you know, the guy that won the most recent Mexico Series race. So, you know, like I said, the latter part of the criteria is basically a part of the competition.
How difficult is it to narrow down to how many do you take?
We shoot for 20.
Okay.
But there's always a couple exceptions. You know, sometimes depending on the year. I believe 2 years ago we had 21. Last year we were able to get that on the number at 20. This year we're hovering just a tick over 20. You know, it comes to a point where, you know, you just can't eliminate with so many people. And you're either going to draw the line in the sand and end up with 14 or 15, or you're going to back up and the next line in the sand, you know, could be at 21, 23, 25, whatever it might be. So it just kind of depends on where we draw the line. And this year we ended up with just a couple over 20 will be participating.
And now the interesting thing is that you got one of the youngest people that's probably been in your combine in Macy Causey from right here at Langley. And with the schedule of what you all got, what you do with these people when they come down here, would being from Langley be any type of advantage?
To me, it's always an advantage.
Well, I knew that between you and me, but
yeah, I mean, I think it definitely gives you that normal home field advantage. We do a couple things to try to, you know, make it as fair as possible for all the other participants. We changed the tire up. I can guarantee you the tire that she'll be on at the combine she's never even seen before, much less had experience on track. So that'll mix it up. We use the 604 GM crate motor, which most everybody that races at Langley, runs a built motor, so that changes things a little bit. But it's always an advantage. I think the advantage comes from the fact that Langley is one of the most difficult racetracks on the East Coast, if not in the country. So if you can get around that place and she knows all the ins and outs of it, getting on and off pit road, and where the bumps are and where the grips move to now that they've gone through a couple repaves and patching, and it's definitely going to help her. She knows the line as soon as she runs out on the racetrack. With that being said, do you expect a little bit more out of her? Probably. You obviously have to take her age into consideration. For 14 years old, what she's already accomplished is absolutely exceptional to me. But I'd be lying if you didn't say, okay, we've got a 24-year-old kid that is running the exact same speed as a 14-year-old, and we are a true development program. So, when you take that factor in, there's a whole lot more time to develop a 14-year-old than there is an older kid. It doesn't mean that it's going to sway the vote in her way just because of her age, but it's a huge benefit that she's only 14 years old and already made it this far.
Yeah, well, Jefferson, one of the things we just had her on the show a few minutes ago, and one of the things she told us, she made the Rookie of the Year for the state of Virginia in the NASCAR series. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, at 14 years old, anything she's accomplishing right now is a huge accomplishment. So to be able to race with those guys on a Saturday night at Langley that she races door to door with, that's an accomplishment in itself. But to end her rookie season with a top 5, she went to Martinsville, and I know she didn't get the results she wanted, but she ran competitively and didn't cause any problems and got that experience. What she's done at her age is really impressive. I tell you, the most impressive thing I've seen her do yet, we went down there and ran that Hampton Heat, and she ended up having a motor issue, and the motor blew up pretty good, and she had the awareness to shut it down, and not only shut it down and get out of the way, but she got out of the groove. She was instantly on the apron, coasting down the backstretch, stayed off the racetrack through 3 and 4, and got to pit road. And it's something that a lot of people don't think about, but to have that awareness at 14 years old of what's going on, you can't teach that. So she's got it going on for sure.
Well, now tell us what the schedule is for the combine. What all do you do, and what kind of schedules do you set up for that?
Well, we as far as rev racing and the NASCAR people, we arrive in town on Sunday evening and do a bunch of setting up and stuff, and the combine really starts at 10 o'clock Monday morning. The kids have to be there at the Courtyard by Marriott there on Coliseum Drive is where that's kind of our hub hotel, and they have to be there in the lobby to register and get all their paperwork filled out, make sure that all that's squared away. At that point, the race team itself goes over to the racetrack, and we take the 3 cars. I have a couple drivers that work for me, and we test the cars and try to get them, as comparable as we can throughout the course of the day, so that we know when the kids do show up, that it doesn't matter what car they fit in, they're all capable of running the same speed. So we take 3 drivers and 3 cars and mix them all up, and try to keep it as consistent as we can. The participants themselves will at that point take off over to Hampton University, and they go through a strength and agility test, I guess you would call it, with our personal trainer, Phil Horton, and they do a bunch of media and PR type seminars, and they do a mock press conference with the students that are in the marketing and PR department at Hampton University. It's a pretty neat deal, really, that each student that's part of that program has been assigned a driver already, and that student is to do research on the driver and basically write a press release for the combine on that driver. And then they get with the people from NASCAR and our own marketing and PR staff, and they reach out to the hometown of these drivers and try to get this stuff published. So it's a really good deal for the college. It's a really good experience for the students over there. And then, anytime that we can get these drivers a little extra exposure, then we're doing our job. So that's Monday. And then Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the morning, we load up, head over to the track, and we do a morning session. 25, 30 laps per driver. The first 5 or 10 laps are basically their own to get used to the place and the car. And then we start timing them and working with them and trying to, see how much we can develop them through the course of their run. How much they can adapt, what they can, the information they can take in and what they do with it. Stop, and Bill Mullis feeds us all lunch, and then we go back in the afternoon, and we do it again. We tend to run a little bit longer runs in the afternoon, and, we let them run for a little bit, 15, 20 laps, and then they come down pit road and can kind of talk to their designated crew chief. Each car has a crew chief that is one of the guys that crew chief the K&N cars for me this year. And they're able to talk to him for a couple minutes and make a change and then go back out and run again. So what we're looking for is to see if they can, can they break down what the car's doing? Do they know what the pieces of the car do, to call for the right change? And once they get what they want, can they go out there and be any better at it? And it doesn't necessarily always have to be the right answers. They might totally go the wrong way with their adjustment because that's just not their thing. But if they can go back out on the track and they've made a tight car tighter and they can adapt to it and adjust their line or the way they're driving and consistently run, at least the same speed, if not better, then, we can work with them later on figuring out what changes to make to the car. If they can adapt their driving style, then that's kind of what we're looking for. So that's basically Tuesday. And then Wednesday is kind of a combination of a rain date for Tuesday and an extra amount of time that if we're just having a tough decision with what, if we need to see a couple of them again, if something didn't go right the day before, whether it be an accident or a blown motor or, whatever it might be, it kind of gives us time to clean all that mess up and do it again if we need to. Perfect world, we would show up to the racetrack Wednesday, do some photo stuff, do some media stuff, clean up our mess so Bill doesn't have to do it behind us and go on home.
Cool. It sounds like it's a busy 3 days, but it's really cool that you got Hampton University involved in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really great. I mean, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it all revolves around the city of Hampton. We race all over the place. I've raced all over the place in different countries, every state here that has an asphalt track I've been to. I've never seen a city get behind a racetrack like Hampton does Langley. I know I'm biased because I live there and grew up there, but, everywhere we go, as soon as it rains, the first question is, what's the time limit? What's the curfew? How long are they going to stay? What's going on? And, you go to Langley, and if it's the Hampton Heat that doesn't start until 1 o'clock in the morning with the Hampton City officials and the mayors right there on the front stretch screaming and yelling that we're going to race tonight, you just don't get that anywhere else. So the city of Hampton really got behind what we were doing. They recognize the importance of the racetrack. Hampton is a very, very diverse city with all the military and the people that are from there anyway. So it's a great thing for them. It's a great thing for the Speedway, and they kind of tangled. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Hampton University is lucky to be a part of it. The city is great and the track's great, and they're just a huge benefactor that happen to have their college in the right zip code.
Yeah. Hey, Jefferson, do you guys take and purposely make the car ill handling and then see how the driver can adapt to that?
No, we did that a couple of years ago, and we ended up crashing a bunch of them. So we decided that was probably a really bad idea.
I got
so
you.
we actually worked on them on Monday as hard as we would if we were going to race that night. We're trying to make them, as easy to drive and as fast as they'll possibly go. And a race car is never perfect. And what Mark Green or Davin Seitz think is a good race car, handles good. Claire Decker or Macy Causey or Ruben Garcia, they might not agree. Right. So their difference in their driving style or where the handling issues that gives us a chance to let them, kind of try to tweak on it a little bit, get it a little bit more comfortable for them. But no, we try as hard as we can to make them as good a race cars as they can possibly be.
So do you and whoever else, are you down on the track with them, or are you up watching them, or where is your vantage point?
My vantage point's on top of our hauler in the infield. I've got a crew of about 10 guys that are in the infield and working on getting the drivers comfortable, adjusting pedals, seatbelts, steering wheels, each one as we rotate them through the 3 cars that we'll have there. I stay up on top of the trailer, and basically what in a normal world would be their spotter. I help get them on the racetrack, talk to them. If I see them doing something wrong, I try to help them through it. If I see them doing something right, I definitely let them know that what they've got going on is they're on the right track, and give them their lap time. And then up in one of the press boxes, we have 10 to 15 representatives from NASCAR, series directors from the both K&N series, both modifieds, the Canadian Tire, the international director, and then a couple other representatives, and they're up there doing more of the judging. I'm really there to help the driver, and I'm basically step 1 of the development process. Whether they get past step 1 or not is up to them, but I'm there to help them make their experience better and easier and transition to our cars better, and the guys in the booth are doing the judging. I try to stay away from that part of it.
Now, are they all on the same channel, on the same radio, so when you talk to one, you're talking to all of them?
No, each car is a different channel.
Okay.
So, each guy that I have is able to listen to all 3 channels at the same time, but the cars are independent of each other. Okay. And then, the NASCAR officials in the tower are able to listen to all 3 channels. But we try to keep it, as fair as you can. If that was the case, then obviously everybody want to go last. As great as the timing and scoring loop is, it's tied to the scoreboard. It's a great thing when you're there testing or there for the race, because there's no hiding behind your stopwatch. Everyone in the world can see what you're running, but we don't turn it on for our combine because, like I said, it's not necessarily all about going fast. There might be someone that's just as fast as he can be. 2 years ago, Colin Cabry came to the combine. He was the fastest kid there, and we didn't do anything with him. He was out of control, very erratic. Obviously was, a lot of the dirt sprint car background that he had was coming out in him, and we didn't pick him. We did, however, work with him throughout the course of the year while he was still in Florida racing and kind of, explain what the problems were and what he could do better. He came up to North Carolina and did a little testing with us and actually raced our late model for us. And he came back to the combine last year, and again, he was the fastest one there, but this year he was smooth as glass and knew exactly what was going on and just looked like an old pro. And obviously we picked him and worked with him all year and took him to Dover and got him his first win.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal there. I like that because we've had Colin on the show, and he's a real cool guy, and I really think he deserved a chance to get that, and I'm glad he got a win.
Yeah, Colin, since the first day we met him, the first time he ever came to the combine, so when he didn't get chosen to, fast forward a year, he did get chosen. He's completely bought into our program. He's got a sprint car background, and he knows sprint car racing like the back of his hand, but the stock car stuff, he didn't really know. And, like I said, he completely bought into what we were doing. He absolutely listens to everything we tell him to do. And, I mean, it ranges from his driving style to teaching him how to save tires to, getting him to dress, a little bit more professional, because you never know when someone's going to take his picture. But he's completely bought in to everything we've told him. And honestly, that's the difference. People, are going to say, oh, he had a newer car, or he had a bigger motor, or he had a smarter crew chief, or, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, he's bought into this program 100%, and he comes in with his ears open and his mouth shut, and he's, X is going places, and I think he's going to go places pretty quick.
Now, from a media standpoint, and how much involvement? I mean, I know I've talked to you about this, about being out at the track. What do you want would you like the media to be there? Or just give me some background on what you want us to do if we were there, where we need to go, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we encourage the media wholeheartedly to attend and to see what's going on. And, you know, the local media, the statewide media, you know, there's a lot of you know, specific motorsports background media that'll be there in attendance. We've got press kits made. We have one of the skyboxes there is completely reserved for the media, where there'll be, you know, a place for you to sit down and do your job and you know, get a snack or something to drink. But it's basically, honestly, it's just an open playing field. The infield's not open to the parents, but it's absolutely open to you guys. You know, we want to have you down there mingling with the kids, and if you need any help getting interviews or there's a certain one you want to talk to, and you know, we'll have representatives there that'll be able to assist you with that, and you know, they'll introduce themselves when you arrive. But they, you know, they'll be able to assist you with anything you want. But yeah, I mean, it's completely open to the media. The stands are completely open to the public, but the whole facility is available to the media, and we encourage it, really.
Well, Jefferson, how important is it? Just important for the PR side of it, for the driver and how they represent themselves, how they carry themselves, how much they market themselves? Is that just as important as driving?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's borderline more important when it really comes down to it. They've got to know how to act. They've got to know how to speak in front of a camera. They've got to know how to do an interview. And like, you know, just resorting back to Colin, he's a prime example. He really struggled with a lot of that stuff. And, you know, like I said, he bought into what we were doing. He listens to the people that talk to him and try to help him. And he's gotten really good at it. And it's a good thing because he's had to do a lot of it since it's over. But he, you know, when it comes to the combine, the ones that dress appropriately and that carry themselves well, that aren't out carrying on at night, late at night, are ready to go in the morning, they obviously stand out. And anything, whether it's our combine or you know, the late model race at Martinsville or whatever it might be, this is an ultra competitive sport, and it's extremely cutthroat, and it only takes one bad move and you're done forever. So anything that these kids can do to stand out in front of the crowd is, you know, it helps tremendously.
Well, Jefferson, we appreciate you being with us tonight and giving us an in-depth look at it. And I'll see you over there at the Combine. I'm going to be coming over there to observe it. And I can't wait because I really want to see what goes on. And we appreciate your time tonight.
Absolutely. No problem. And I appreciate you having us on. And look forward to seeing you. And like I said, if there's anything we can do when you get there, if there's a certain driver you'd like to talk to or something that you need to help your program out, just, you know, don't hesitate to ask, and we'll be happy to help you out.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, Jefferson. And we'll get you back on here again after it's over with, and you can tell us what your impressions were.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
It is a neat deal, and we are very lucky to have it
Right
at
here.
Speedway, you know.
All right. Let me get Ryan Ellis on here.
But it is cool to, and it's pretty neat. I didn't know that the Hampton University was that in depth with it, and that's pretty cool because I mean they benefit from it just as well, you know.
Gives their guys the experience.
Mm-hmm.
You keep on talking while I'm doing this. We don't need to have.
I mean, we can keep on doing that. We don't need you.
Who's that over there?
We're gonna have Ryan Ellis drive a '97 Xfinity car. I'm gonna say because I can't pronounce the name of the team.
Obeka. I don't know either. I had it before.
The first car owner from Nigeria owns the car.
Ah.
He probably said, "Heck with you didn't call it 745."
I know.
Hello, you've reached Ryan Ellis. I'm not here right now. Please leave your name, number, and a short message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Okay.
Might be on another interview. Huh?
Yeah, we may be in trouble here.
Yeah. But, I mean, that was a pretty interesting outlook of
Yeah.
the Combine and how it works. I enjoyed listening to that and how it worked and what happens what day. especially with the Hampton University thing. That's really interesting. And like you said, that's probably a little bit more important than driving.
Hello, Mr. Ellis. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How are you?
We're doing great. Sorry we were running a little late. We had a little technical difficulty early in the show, and
That's all good.
but I'm glad you're still with us and able to talk with us tonight. And first thing I want to ask is, it was a big deal a couple weeks ago when you got into that car that you're in now, the '97. Wasn't it the fans that voted you into that car?
Yeah, it was. Are we live already?
Yeah, we're live. Go ahead. We introduced you before.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, there were 68 people that were nominated for the competition, and 43 were actually eligible for NASCAR Xfinity license and for Dover. And they narrowed it down to those people, and they narrowed it down to 3 based on the amount of nominations they had. And I got 55% of the vote after they started the voting, and it was really cool. And
That's pretty cool.
obviously a big honor to be driving that car.
So how many races are you going to be in? Are you going to be in it the rest of the year, or what's the schedule?
Oh, it's as far as I know, we're kind of week by week. Right now, this week they have Macy Mingus. Next week, I don't know what their plans are after that. I know Xfinity Series got a couple weeks off, so they're taking a week by week between me, Mason Mingus, Dylan Causey, and maybe another guy. And with only 3 or 4 races left, that doesn't leave too many opportunities left, obviously.
So do you have anything else that you're going to be driving? Are you going back to the trucks or anything else? Or
Yeah, I'll be in the truck weekend over at where are we next week? Talladega. And this week I'm driving for Rick Ware in the number 17 out of Kansas. So kind of living it week by week. Got some plans for Phoenix and working on some sponsorship for more races the rest of the year too. Probably still driving for Make Motorsports when I don't have other obligations as well.
Now, are you going to be at Martinsville?
I think I will be. I'm not sure if I'll be driving.
Okay. Yeah, I know we seen you in the media center last in the spring, and it was just kind of funny. So I didn't realize that you're from Virginia, and you went to a local college here, but you grew up in SCCA racing, and I guess that's kind of big in your family there. I didn't realize that you were like a 3rd generation driver.
Yeah, I grew up doing like quarter mix go karts, and then moved on to late models, but stuff kind of fell apart on that side, just financially. So moved over to the road course world and did some SCCA pro racing, NASCAR pro racing, and that was a lot of fun. Taught me obviously a whole different, set of skills that translates into the road course side of NASCAR today. But it was a weird route to get here, and I'm having a lot of fun in NASCAR and hope to stay and continue moving forward. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a family business for me. My grandfather raced back in the 1950s. My dad raced when he was young as well, and got out of it right when I got into it.
Now, this team you're driving for, I don't even know how to pronounce Obaika or whatever.
Yep, you got it.
Obaika. Okay, cool. Give us a little background. It's an interesting thing with the owner and everything of this team. Give us a little background on that, because I've never heard of. I mean, I've seen the car. I knew Peyton Sellers drove it one time. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, they're first African-owned team in NASCAR, which is really cool in itself. Obviously, it was pretty cool to have a multicultural team owner driver there for a couple weeks, with me being half Japanese. But he just got into it this year. Apparently, a couple of the crew guys told me he'd never even seen a race until Daytona this year. So he definitely went into it big, and seems to be having a lot of fun. He enjoys the social media side of it all, and just his brand, Groom Brands, it's a traveling company. They do a lot of trips to Africa, Europe, and obviously the United States as well. And they try to integrate their NASCAR program into that as well.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's a different type of ownership and everything, which is what, that's a big thing in NASCAR, trying to put as much diversity in it as you can. Who's your crew chief and everything over there?
Right now it's John Monson, and I actually was pretty cool. I got to work with him for my first race ever in NASCAR, my first full race that is, at Richmond 2 years ago. So it was very round circle to get back and work with him. He's a really intelligent guy and has given me a lot of good cars in the past.
Yeah, I like John. I've talked to him several times. He's a good guy, and you got a lot of experience right there with him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't really question something when he says the car's doing this and he says he's going to change it a certain way. You just know it's going to be a better car than before you talked about it. So it's really good. I mean, they're not a big money team by any means, but they're doing it right, and that's what matters to drivers and for guys. You know, every team could use another guy or two just to sweep the shop or run errands, but there's really like 3 to 5 guys at the shop right now, I think, maybe 5 or 6. But they're all very smart guys, and they all know what they're doing, so you're very comfortable working with them, and they do a good job.
That's for that team to be where they are. I mean, it's a pretty good team as far as a normal week. You had a good run at Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a really good job. They had a turnaround, I think about mid-season. They were kind of averaging just outside of the top 30s, and over the last 10 weeks, I think they've been averaging low 20s, low mid-20s. They've had a couple, I think maybe 1 or 2 finishes inside the top 20, and that's huge. You know, there's a lot of Cup teams out there battling for the same real estate out there, so to be in the top 20 in the Xfinity Series is really tough. You definitely don't just stumble into something like that.
What did you go to school for, Ryan?
What did I go to school for?
Yeah. So what is your major?
Marketing. Business marketing. To try to get some sponsorship to
Yeah.
this whole NASCAR career.
Has that helped you? I mean, I would imagine it does, or has.
Yeah, it's hard to obviously make it tangible and find out when it has paid off and when it hasn't. Nothing definitive, but you know, a lot of what I do is, especially in the off season, is sponsorship proposals. So I was working on one actually today, and you definitely feel a little more comfortable doing that. You feel more comfortable talking to a team owner or a potential sponsor. You know, you understand what the same, speak the same language, I guess, and that's most important. You know, as a driver nowadays, you're not just a driver. You're a representative for a company. You're a spokesperson for the team, the people you're working for. So you really have to decently well-spoken and be an ambassador for the sport, your team, and all your sponsors. So I think it went a long way with all those things, and hopefully get me a few more races than I would have had otherwise, just without having any money.
Yeah, we just had Jefferson Hodges on from Rev Racing, and they were talking about, because it's coming up here at Langley Speedway, which is our local track. They spend one whole day, and he was saying that the PR side of it is probably today a little more important than driving. That, you know, you have to be a great representative. You got to carry yourself well. You got to dress well. Make sure you wear your logos and those kind of things. So I'd seen that on your site, and I just thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I did my website. That was one of the other things I did up until earlier this year, probably a couple months ago. I finally outsourced that. It was just getting a little bit too much for me to actually learn how to do that. The software I had was a little bit outdated, but you have to really wear a lot more hats than you ever thought. You know, like I do a lot of my own, to get out of the car after a session, and you do your own tweets of like, this is how the car was, this, and you try to update your website, make sure press releases are out on time, and I have people that also help me with that T1 group, but you wear a lot of hats that you definitely didn't expect to wear when you were growing up, thinking that it would be a glamorous NASCAR life, or any race car driver, really.
Now, yeah, I've talked with Tammy. Well, not talked with her. We text back and forth. She seems to be very much, you know, into your career and helping you move it along.
Yeah, no, P1 group, they do a lot for me, and it's been very beneficial to have them, especially on the hospitality side, helping me, because when you're, you know, when you have big sponsors out there, you can't do things yourself. You have to do the hospitality, take people around, explain to them what racing is, you know, provide credentials and stuff. That's stuff you really can't do when it's just you. You can try to entertain sponsors as much as you want, but ultimately it'll fix you on track eventually. if you're trying to, you can't put 100% in everything when you're doing 500 different things.
Does it surprise you when you bring a kind of a new sponsor in, is how much they really don't know about the racing side of it?
I don't think so. Not as much as it probably does with other drivers. Because a lot of these guys, they grew up in the NASCAR environment. A lot of these guys have lived in Mooresville, North Carolina, or the Charlotte area for 5, 10, 15 years of their whole life. And I grew up in Northern Virginia, where I don't even think half the people even knew that NASCAR was still around. So I was used to the same questions from people like, how do you get into NASCAR? Well, how fast do you go? And Jeff Gordon, have you ever wrecked? All those silly questions. So I try to tell people, there is no dumb question with racing. I learn every day. Everybody in the sport learns every day. And there's not one week the same as the last. So if you're learning every single week, and you get a lot of the same questions, definitely from sponsors and people on the street, but nothing surprises me anymore. You always get asked if you pee in your suit or how you made it. So I'm used to it.
So what does 2016 look like for you? I mean, have you started looking into that yet, or are you still working on it, or what you got going on?
I definitely look at it, but it's hard to get firm plans, especially like when I'm looking like right now at trying to get plans together. Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead, and it's hard to focus on 2016. I think a lot of what happens next year is based off of what happens in the coming weeks, and I have some big sponsorship lined up, and I think if things go the right way with them, I could have a better year next year than this year, which, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're continually moving the right direction and moving forward, it's going to be a good year. So maybe I'll be full-time next year, maybe I won't be, but no matter what, I'm pretty sure 2016 will be a good year, and I have no idea what of the 3 series I'll be competing in at all. But it's definitely day by day. There's not a lot of job security in the sport, and I think that forces you to work a little bit harder.
So you're down in Mooresville. So do you spend a lot of time going around in Mooresville, putting yourself out there to other teams, or introducing yourself to people in the area?
Definitely more so last year than this year, and it's not that I'm necessarily complacent this year. It's just that I have personal relationships with these guys. This year, when I first moved down here last year, I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any friends. I didn't really know anybody. I just knew I had spoken with a few guys in the industry. I knew SR2 Motorsports, which isn't even around anymore. So I was fighting for a job every week, and now I have a lot of connections. Instead of going down to the shop and reminding team owners of who I am every week, I'm actually getting phone calls, and there's many weeks where I've had to turn down 1 or 2 or 3 jobs just because I've already had something. And not to sound like a brag or anything, I'm just saying that last year was a lot of
it's a little different this year.
Putting my name out there, just trying to find out who I was, and this year it's a lot more, maybe a little bit more comfortable. I definitely make my rounds of the shops as much as possible, but a lot more of it's done over the phone, and usually we're getting home from the track, you do your laundry, and you got a day or 2 off, and then you're right back on the road. Like, we're leaving for Kansas tomorrow night, so not a lot of time off.
Yeah. So when you said you get a lot of some strange questions, what is one of the strangest questions you've gotten?
One of the what?
Strangest questions.
Oh, strangest question. Man, there's a lot of. Like I said, a lot of the repetitive ones of like the fastest you've ever gone, have you ever crashed, ever raced Jeff Gordon. Now you don't get a lot of. I guess nothing literally is strange to me anymore. They're all. Yeah, people will ask, what's the weirdest thing you've ever signed, and have you ever had a kiss a baby or all that stuff, and they're like, dude, it's not a lot of that stuff. Obviously, it's not. You have a couple hours of glamour and the pre-race ceremonies and all that. Otherwise, it's very much a family atmosphere in the pit area, garage area. It's not too much glamour. Not that that's why you're at the sport or anything, but I think people think there's a lot more going on than there really is.
You got that right. It's a completely different world than a lot of people think. So you're right there. Well, Ryan, we appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate your time tonight. We're sorry we got a little late with it, but we appreciate you being here. Hopefully we can get you back on when we find out what's going on for 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have some big news coming out next week, so hopefully we'll be able to talk about that.
Okay,
Sure,
man, that's
absolutely.
cool. All right, man, but we'll talk to you later. Have a good night, and let's get back to having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
We appreciate it, man. Take a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a well-spoken.
Oh yeah.
He's a
God.
cool dude. I mean, you look at it, and you saw him the other day when we were down there. He just has that aura about him that
He from perspective, he's very well confident, and he's very well spoken, and I like the business background that he has to help him with sponsors, and it seems like he's kind of doing it all on his own, and he's kind of doing it his way, and that's great.
How old of a guy is he?
25.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's not. He's
So
not.
he's still got some time left.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see him at Martinsville.
Before
Well, let's talk about we didn't really get into our Charlotte theme because we had a little.
okay,
thing.
we'll do that first then.
We had a great time at Charlotte. We had the pace car ride was a lot of fun. Kel Conley gave us a ride. We talked to him afterwards or before the race started on Friday because he wrecked, and we were glad he did that in qualifying and not while we were in the car with him. But we'll show you a clip of our pace car ride. So I want to thank Kel Conley and Charlotte Motor Speedway for allowing us to go for a ride with those guys.
Racing, you know. So tonight you'll see us run the high side and qualifying to build up speed coming to the line. So we want to try to run right up here against the top groove and build as much momentum as possible.
This is great.
So we want to use up the track, kind of pull it back down so you can.
that wall comes real quick right there.
It really does. Use up the track, big arc into one. We'll be able to feel the G's as the car takes a set. We'll pull off, come down here from the bottom.
I bet this is probably better than riding with Red Bull Dime.
Yeah.
Hold the bottom there. This corner even has a bigger arc. It's a slower corner, so you'll be back off the gas here. Try to hold it above that white line and bring it back down. You really want to hover that white line, and you'll come to pit road here from the car, third gear, second gear, all the way to 45 miles an hour. Hope for the best that you don't get caught speeding.
Now, how hard is it to slow down to 45 after coming off like that?
In a race car, it's very tough because there's no speedometer. So
Right,
you're
it's gotta
just
be-
going off your tack. So a lot of times people will cheat it and actually give up too much speed versus coming in hot. But you also see how many pit road penalties there are.
Yes.
It's fun. Racing, you know.
Well, that was a lap around Charlotte Motor Speedway that we had a ton of fun. Jack whined a little bit about turn 4, coming out of turn 4.
I did not whine.
First time he's ever been to speed on a track.
Excuse me. I'm not getting into this conversation. I hate to have to defend myself like this, but go ahead.
But we had a great time. I know Jack was like, when we got, he's like, you know how fast we were going? I was like, I don't know. I seen the speedometer up until 90, and I didn't see the thing.
After that.
Yeah, I couldn't see because it was hard to hold myself because I was trying to hold the camera and hold myself onto the seat from falling over or going through the corners. I mean, it was a ton of fun. I mean, they didn't even ask us to buckle up. I didn't put my seatbelt on.
No
I just got in the
seatbelt at
car.
all?
Yeah.
I had mine on.
Did you really?
Yes.
But it was a ton of fun. I wish I'd have started recording a little sooner. But it was fun. Next time we will definitely make it a little more fun. We'll maybe talk a little bit before it and joke a little bit. But we had a great time at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And thank those guys.
You know you're in trouble when the driver of the car, when you get in, you get situated, he says, we're not going to worry about pit road speed.
It just got, I mean, we were wide open right off pit road. and showed us the lines like you're running up high and how you go down to the bottom of the car sets. And at one time there, I seen the cones that were down. I was like, he's gonna knock them cones out of the way. And it must have been ever so close to the cones.
I didn't pay no attention to the cones.
He's basically looking at the wall.
When we come out of turn 4, I was looking at that wall, and he said, "Well, you got to let it drift up to the wall." And he did. He let it drift right up to the wall, and I could see it coming. And you can say what you want to, but if he'd have hit it, it'd have been me. But
that was like the highlight of Friday, and we talked to Kale before the race started, and our buddy, I don't know if we missed that part, our buddy Eddie Perdue from Langley Speedway. He was Chip Hudson's crew chief back in the early 90s. He's Cale Conley's crew chief for what's the team?
TriStar Motorsports.
TriStar. But it was a lot of fun. We talked to those guys a while before the race started, and Eddie was laughing. He said, "I heard y'all had a good ride." Well, we did. I mean, we
were the last one, so we got the good one.
Yeah,
we got the good ride.
So,
what was the ride like on the media bus? Now, you guys. You got to tell me about that now. There's a story behind that.
I wish that would have been recorded because it was raining Saturday when the race got canceled. When they held us in the media center for I don't know how long before they decided to announce that everybody else knew it was being called. We got text messages and
we were over there in the Cup garage, and they knew it in the Cup garage.
Yeah. In the media center, we hadn't called it yet. No, it's not official yet. So, of course, when they finally called it, it was a mad rush to the bus, and we go to get on the bus, and there's 2 seats. The bus driver was loading some stuff in the back, and Jack sits down, and I go to sit down, and the guy behind us is like, "Hey, you can't sit there. There's this young lady coming to get in that seat." So I was like, "Oh, all right." So I start getting back off the bus, and Jack gets up and tries to get off the bus, and the guy's like, No. You sit down. You can sit here. So there's this girl, there's only one seat. He said, "Well, we're together." And I'm thinking to myself, I look at the guy and said, "Hey, not like that. We're not together like that." So then the bus started laughing and carrying on, and the bus driver walked over and he said, "Y'all sit down. No, that girl's coming on another bus." He's like, "Oh, okay." So I sit down there. He said, "This is the last time I ever ride with you again. I ain't going no goddamn where else with you again." So then they commenced to joking us the whole way, the ride on the way out, and we're sitting in traffic because it's pretty busy, and everybody's like, "Hey, if that's whatever floats your boat,
What's this got to do with racing?"
Nothing. It's just funny.
It was funny though.
We were at the racetrack, so the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, I got my back towards Jack, and I said, "You know what? You think that was funny? You wait till we get off this bus." So they were carrying us to our parking lot first, and
everybody didn't like that to start with.
Right? Yeah. So they were like, "Oh, just stop right here. I'll get off right now." So he stops the bus, opens the door. So I get up, and I wait just a second. I try and look. I said, "All right, come on, honey." And the bus just started to laugh. I mean, everybody. And so I run off of the bus real quick because I wait for him to come after me. And him and a bunch of the other guys get up, and they're laughing. And the bus driver apparently lets his foot off the brake, and the bus rolls forward, and they all fall back. So needless to say, the first 150 miles on the way back is, I don't know how I'm going to get you back, but I'm going to get you back. That's some crap right there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get you back. Just so you know, I'm going to get you back. And I think that was the first thing he said to me today when he got here.
Yeah. Payback's one of those things. I ain't going.
You stay pretty busy with these paybacks, don't you?
Yeah, and you're getting one too.
And I did get a text message yesterday because somebody had posted, a video of Southampton Motor Speedway and what it looks like now.
I thought it was old racing video, is what I thought. One of your GoPro well, no, they didn't have GoPros back then.
Well, because it was just a steel look of the racetrack.
I'm sorry. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
Are we enjoying
I couldn't help myself. was like, this is where my buddy made something
You know
famous.
what? All joking aside, though, it was cool to see that video.
Mhm.
It was cool that
Yeah.
Kerry jumped over the fence.
That thing's got a lot of
and did
views.
that. You know, that's sad to see that place just.
It's
sitting there.
unbelievable. I mean,
Who owns that racetrack?
his name is Bill Atkinson out of Richmond. He owns the track, and I don't know why he
Sorry about that.
when he closed the track up, he closed it completely and then just didn't do anything. I mean, he just let it go at that.
Mm.
And I don't. And supposedly he won't sell it. Nobody.
Is this an older fella? Or?
No, so he was a younger guy when then he's older now, but I would say when we were racing there, he was in his late 30s, early 40s. He ran a construction company up in Richmond, and they're the ones that came in and did took it from the dirt to the asphalt and everything, and then all of a sudden it just up and shut down. I mean, it kind of like almost in the middle of the season.
Mm.
And it's just I
Was
hate
there
to
a lot of
see.
people that showed up for the races? I mean, was there
Well,
a good draw?
When it went to asphalt, it kind of went down a little bit when it went to asphalt. But if you had a local driver involved in the racing, like they always had Vic Story, Mike Sharon was you probably don't know these guys,
No, I don't.
but they're local guys. They moved up to the asphalt series from the dirt when it went, and a lot of guys really got in. We still got a couple guys, but when they left out, it just like there's no need for people in the local area to come, and it's in a position where you have to come from a good ways to get there. I mean, but when it was dirt, when that track was dirt, it was filled to capacity every Saturday night. But it was a big deal every Saturday night because everybody in the area had race cars.
Right.
That was, it may not, then you had to maybe lower class cars, but I mean, you had them in all the classes, and you had people there that raced, and then there was always the little bickering back and forth during the week. Everybody wants to fight and argue and complain.
Did you get in fights out there?
A couple. But it was.
I can't believe somebody fight over a parking spot.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Get out of the way. We're trying to get on the track, buddy.
I'm sorry, man. I know you tried to toot your own horn here about this.
I wasn't tooting my own horn. But anyway, it just fell apart after it went.
That's sad.
Yeah, I never got to go there. I've never been there.
It was. It's like a miniature Richmond International. A lot of guys in the Cup Series came to Southampton to test their cars. They said it doesn't have the speed, but it has the same type of feel as a Richmond. It had the bank and everything kind of like Richmond, and they used that as a test. And it's just, it's a sad to ride by there and see something that I was a part of from the day they started talking about it. I went to the first hearings. They had to go in front of the county commission and all this other stuff. I was there for those. I was there when they finally broke the ground. I was there when they put the track in. They even had their first race cars on the track and didn't have walls. But all they were doing was trying to show people this is what it's going to be like. They didn't race. They had them out there running around, but it wasn't racing. But it was to basically get a sound thing to see what it sounds like. And then when you have probably one of the guys that is a legend in our area. He raced for years. He raced all the little local tracks around for years and won bunches and bunches of races. And he lives about 2 miles from the track. And when he shows up, and it was the same paint scheme he had all his career, and when he showed up, people showed up behind him. That's just the way it was.
I wanted to race against him.
And it's, here we are. And then it just went away. And the man won't sell it. They've had people go in and say, look, we want to lease the track. He'll start off saying, yeah, we'll see what we can work out, and then he'll shut the door on it.
Ouch.
So, I mean, there's
That's
been
just
some
weird.
people here that said that, some down in this area that said we will come there on a Sunday and do a races on Sunday afternoons. Like, I mean, maybe not late models every time, but, have a different type of class and do a couple races. And they were willing to set it up and do it.
Well, the way Langley does the modified and the late model, they can alternate weekends.
Well, I think they were looking towards more trying to get it as an introductory type thing,
Okay.
maybe like a U car or something like that,
just
to
kinda
get them
see how it
started, to
goes.
get it
Right.
started. And they shut the door on it. And that was really sad because I was thinking we were actually going to, matter of fact, I even volunteered. I said, look, I'll come out there for nothing. You don't have to pay me nothing. I'll just come out there and do whatever you need me to do. And it just shut down. I mean, there was nothing. And then all of a sudden, there was talk that Elliott Sadler was going to buy it. There was really a big conversation that he was trying to purchase the track. And the man didn't sell it to him.
He would probably have been a good person. Well, he's got the resources to bring it up.
Well,
to
he
what
was going
in
to
the
take over the
recognition.
ownership, but he already had from what I'm hearing, I don't know this to be fact, but from what I'm hearing, he already had people in line to come in there and take over and run the show. He wasn't going to be there, but he was just going to be the backer and going to take care of it, and that still didn't fly. So, and
Yeah, well, I mean, local short tracks have gone through a tough time the last 10 years, or maybe even a little longer. How long has it been gone?
it's been gone for maybe
15 years?
right at 15,
been that
at
long.
least 15.
I mean, I think that's kind of when the whole market has crashed. So it's maybe it's getting to the time to. I mean, some of the short tracks are still not. They're barely hanging on.
Oh, yeah.
I think. Well, I mean, we say Langley Speedway is successful, but financially, they're just barely making it. I mean, let's be honest
Yeah.
about that.
And we still don't know what's going to happen for next year yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
That's.
And we heard a lot of that. We've heard a lot of that too. And
Yeah.
I so hope Bill Mullis ends up with the racetrack. I hope he can buy it. I really wouldn't want to see anybody else out there.
all right, let's get. I'm going to do a show sometime during the off season. I've decided to wait till the off season. I want to do a show and bring some of these Southampton people back in here that they've
Reminisce.
kind of fell by the wayside. You don't hear from them very much anymore.
That'd be cool.
And so I've talked to a few of them. They said, "Yeah, just give me a call, man. We'll do it."
We'd love to hear some of the old race stories of
I
your
knew that's-
races.
I knew-
Oh my God!
I knew that was coming.
No, we'll have a blast with this, man.
There's a couple brothers that raced out there.
Oh shoot!
All right, let's talk about our picks for next week at Kansas.
Who picks first?
You picked first. You said
No, was I? No.
Yeah, you were last. You were last.
No, who
I
did-
just you were 39th. You finished 39th.
Oh,
Lenny's
Lenny.
not here. Lenny's not here, so he
Dan-
can't pick.
Danny
He was our
Lenny.
guest. He was our guest pick last week. So you're up first.
I'm going to go back on my bandwagon on the 4-car.
He's good there.
He was
Boy,
strong
where
last
any
week.
good? I know the whole time. I knew. I really
thought
thought
he was
the
gonna pull it
48 was going to have a good run, and they were on their way to having a good run. And I forget what happened to them. They were hitting the wall. I don't know if he was he part of that oil that was left on the racetrack and.
That was Earnhardt Jr.
I
and,
know. What about that? I mean, you got a bunch of guys that
they were-
chase guys that got tore up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the 20, the 88, who,
18.
18. I mean, there was a few of them. So it's going to make for a very interesting.
And how about Kyle Busch the night before or the 2 nights before in the Xfinity race, getting into a little scrap with Kyle Larson and hit the wall and decided he didn't want to race no more.
I was listening to him on the scanner, and he said, "Don't fix the car." I mean, it's flat out told the team not to fix the car, and I was glad I tweeted it out, and I got a lot of people retweeted, and a lot of people was defending him. Yeah, I understand. In one way, there was 50 laps left. There was nothing to gain from it, but there's a few spots you could get a gain. Those guys are running for an owner's championship. The beneficial thing would have been get back in the car and finish and get a few spots. But Claire B. Lane talked about it on the radio, and didn't talk a whole lot about it,
Mm-hmm.
but she mentioned, I wonder what he meant by don't fix the car. We've got to give a shout out to our buddy on the 33 car,
Danny Stockman.
Danny Stockman. Danny, we talked to Danny before the race. He's been on the show several times. Super nice guy.
He is really nice.
Him and Austin are kind of like brothers. I mean, it was kind of funny listening to him in there in the media center, picking on each other. It was more Austin picking on Danny than it was.
Yep.
It's kind of like me and Jack. Jack doesn't look as good as Danny Stockman.
I don't know. I don't. Well, I ain't going there.
He's got a good-looking wife,
Yeah,
though.
we'll let it go at that. All right, Joe, you're up.
I'm gonna go with the number 2 car.
Mm.
Brad's due one.
He hasn't done as well as I would
Yep.
thought he's gonna. He's just not quite, but he could rattle off one and then be hot.
I'm going with Carl Edwards again. Reason being, Carl is exceptional at Kansas. He is exceptional, and Kyle Busch can't finish a race at Kansas for some reason. I don't know what the deal is.
That's who I was gonna go with, but because that's who I picked to win the championship. But yeah, I just don't see him.
Let's see. Clayton's watching the show. Jack took your pick.
You didn't
Jack
pick,
did take his pick.
but you didn't pick last week, so you lose.
Oh, he didn't pick last week.
No,
Well, he did.
but I didn't get it until today.
Right.
Oh,
But he
who
said,
did he pick?
4 would be his backup. Both of your picks are gone.
Come on, Clayton. Waiting on you. Waiting on you to give us the download on this one right here.
I really thank Clayton because he's been pretty
He's here
fun
every-
to watch the show. We appreciate that. We really do. And ask him some questions sometimes when we have some guests on, and he has some pretty good questions to ask you guys, and that's great. I love the interaction. Those guys asking some different questions and stuff.
Anyway, it was a great weekend at Charlotte, and I'll get Clayton's pick, and we'll get that together here in a few minutes and get it on there. But we need to get ready to sign off and see you next week. We'll hopefully have Cale Conley with us next week. I know we're going to have Joey Gase with us next week.
Yeah.
So-
and Joey Gates has got a very interesting story. So if you're out there, look him up, and he does a lot for donating organs. I can't think of the charity.
He's got a real interesting story about his mother and everything. It's really cool.
He's a very young guy.
So we'll
So it's interesting. So thank the guys we had on. Thanks Lenny Pataki from Charlotte Motor Speedway for allowing us to come out there. And I think our next race will be Martinsville, hopefully.
Martinsville.
And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.